Recently, in a cast iron group that I'm a part of on Facebook, I saw there was a guy who seasons his skillets using beef tallow. And I thought that was interesting because I've only ever used cooking oils like seed oils, grapeseed oil, avocado oil. I have heard of people seasoning their skillets using lard and Crisco, but I decided to take a little bit of a look into using beef tallow. And turns out beef tallow actually has a pretty high smoke point of about 420 degrees. That's actually pretty comparable to grapeseed oil, so it should be able to stand up to the heat. The seasoning should. So I decided to try to make my own beef tallow because it's super expensive at the store. Like one jar of it at the store is like $15 or something like that. Luckily, I happen to know a guy who is a butcher and he works at a local butchery. And I gave him a call and asked if he had any beef fat that he could give me. He said, "How much you need?" I said, "Well, I'd like to get 10 pounds if you have it." He said, "No problem." Didn't even charge me for it. So if you're looking into making your own beef tallow, why don't you check with your local butcher because they have a lot of fat that they're just trimming. So I used the meat grinder attachment for my KitchenAid. I had to cut it into strips first, make sure that it was kind of like semi-frozen, and it ground up pretty well. And then I took all 10 pounds of it and I had to divide it between my two deep skillets. These are my Wagner number 9 deep skillets. Those are both completely full. And then the leftover that I had, I put into this stock pot. And you want to fill it up with the water, not quite to where it completely submerges it, but pretty close. The goal is to get the fat down to as small particles as you can. And then you want to use slow heat. It's going to take a few hours. This took me about 3 or 4 hours. You can see this one here has a lot of steam coming off of it. And then that one, it no longer had steam. So when you render that fat, you want to do it on low heat. And you want all that water to essentially boil off. And then you're going to be left with just the liquid fat. There are going to be those solids, and they're probably going to be somewhat crispy, so we're going to strain those out when we're done. You know that all the water is completely boiled off when it stops steaming, and you just start getting like little bubbles. And then I decided to just let that tallow cool off, and then I have fine filters there, and I just didn't want to make a mess, so I was just ladling it. So I was just really taking my time. Just want to make sure I don't get any of those solid bits accidentally into the leftover beef tallow there. Let's see, besides being a premium cooking fat and being able to use it for cast iron seasoning, I guess beef tallow can also be used to make soap. So if you make soap, that's something that you can use it for. And another thing that you can use it for is making candles. So it's pretty expensive stuff. I wouldn't recommend any of those other projects unless you're actually making it yourself, because I don't know how anybody could afford $15 for a small little jar. But I used 10 pounds of pure beef fat, and by the time I was done, I was able to get somewhere in the ballpark of close to a gallon, I would say. I'd say it was over 100 ounces. So 10 pounds got me over 100 ounces. Now, if you did the math value on that, it'd probably be close to $100. $100 worth of beef tallow is what it came out to. Now, when I poured it into these jars, it has like that golden color to it because the oil's still like somewhat warm. But then after closing those jars up, I just went and put them in the refrigerator overnight. And in the morning, they were very white. Also, if you didn't boil off all the water and the beef tallow will not mix together. So you should be able to get some separation after it cools. And here you go. See, it's cooled, turned like this nice white color. Just like it was the fat before we even began rendering it. Excited to try it.